This is the nature of change. If you resist it, you have no help, you have frustration and suffering. But on the other hand, if you understand change, you don't cling to it, and you let it flow, then it's no problem. It becomes positive beautiful, which is why in poetry, the theme of the evanescence of the world is beautiful.
My name is Corey W. My name is Corey.
See, it's always the image of
Corey
change
W, but it's Corey with the W.
that really makes the poet.
I'm here to penetrate your minds. I'm here to give you a solidification of a solid foundation, something you can walk on. Reality. What is reality? What exactly is reality? Well, first, let me tell you about how I feel I'm capable of understanding this. In 2001, I ended up with a terminal illness, and it exacerbated me over 40 times. And about 36 of those times, I ended up on the other side. In 2009, I started diagnosing reality, and I guess defining the parameters of security, and it took me 10 years to really walk through everything that was the major effects. I'm not talking about why the reasoning behind a reaction. I'm talking about the seed effect, what puts it in motion, what develops it and creates a rhythm to be experienced. A lot of us predict God or a so-called source element, but I've come to realize that our reality is driven by monopoly. What the government, the local government, the federal government, the Russian government, the European government, they're all a substantial equation and variable based on a larger parameter. So it's kind of like if it were a wedge. This whole wedge is creating what our planet is designed from out there. So this wedge of something is creating on our planet, and reality is dialoguing what is created using everyone. It takes the first instance to really look into the penetration factor, why it was all created. Why did some organization find the ability to design life? That's what it comes down to. I don't want to add fear into the propaganda. I just want to finalize yourselves so you can move on. One of the rhythms this planet experiences is a detrimental reoccurring every night reformulation of identity. Every night we sleep, we get remade, we get eaten, we get subdued. And the only people that don't really experience this are the people of the agenda, of the galactic agenda. And ideally, our religion's concept of control to keep us from penetrating the galactic society. And what I find is that reality is really a limited concept of design. That the planet tends to unfold the actualization, the real measuring tools to the said corporation, but only if they pass the test. So, I personally, I've meditated for 18 years, I practice hypnosis, which is, to me, is a primal effort to understand the ratios and the concepts between you and everything around you. And when I say that, I don't mean just the ground, I mean the sky too. Wherever there's an effect of reality being created, which is an individual concept, a personal relationship, an individual process, there's a force behind it. There's a force behind in every individual heart, and it pivots all on one concept, and that's to trade, and that's to endeavor and power. I guess reality is an individual concept, but a much larger concept. And ultimately, spirits have been driven out of reality here. I find that spirits don't have the appropriate concept to relate how they feel they should. So this galactic pivoting power point has found itself harnessing a planet full of truth. This planet exacerbates truth tremendously to protect itself and its consciousness. And supposedly an organization from space came to this planet about 400,000 years ago and tried mining it. This galactic organization tried mining the planet in a way that they could cooperatively own said planet in a territory, in a space-time paradigm territorial agreement. So this galactic organization tends to push weight into the planet to collapse her conscience, so she surrenders to the power of reality, basically. So reality has designed a life form to believe it's so powerful it can mimic life. And I guess once a sentient concept becomes so engulfed with itself, the next stage is to design life. It's literally like the universe just saying, well, you've made it this far, I do this, see if you can do what I can do. And this galactic organization concept is literally being pressured to mimic her reality. And that's by designing life. This organization impregnated the planet with the life form and tried mining the planet's consciousness over 400,000 years. And we're all a product of that. We're all a product of this isolation of the planet. And it seems that the planet couldn't be isolated, so the corporation went into a destructive sequence and called out Fukushima, the radioactive Pacific. I don't have proof of this organization, but through hypnosis, you tend to learn things in such a way that they can't be moved. I mean, you could repeat it over and over and over in many ways as possible. People can debate you as many ways as possible, but no matter what they suggest, they won't over-delegate the concept you've acquired through hypnosis. And the process of hypnosis and defining your security is what it's about. Hypnosis isn't necessarily a source effect, but it's a tool that the source effect uses to protect you. So this corporation came to this planet trying to subdue the natural processes of even creation to implement its own duty of designing life, to even controlling spirits. They control the spirits to affect the continuum of time, to push forward in their time chalice adventure. And so this corporation has been given a lot of chalices, so to speak, and like a time chalice, like a golden chalice, time, blood, ether, and matter. Once you get so large that you can design life, these equations become something else, and they become very powerful. And I guess you would say, if someone is looking for a chalice, they're probably looking to abuse it. And from what I gather, the planet is incorporating herself into the corporate agenda, the galactic corporate agenda, as a primal piece of them, suggesting that she's the one that called them here to be tested. And so recently I've realized that the galactic corporation is being adjusted and tested due to their acts of power and guilt. And the planet literally spoke to them and said, well, if you want power, take it all. Take everything you fucking can. And they couldn't. They couldn't do it. So over a period of time of some 400,000 years, this corporation has invented a concept called religion to propagate control over the etheric component. Conscious relates to the etheric component in a contemplative rhythm, and this corporation uses consciousness to manifest control over organic rhythm, embedding it with sentient minds to ultimately drive the concept. This, I've noticed, is a Borg statement. Star Trek's the Borg. They tend to all flow independently as one unit, and they tend to harness the power of the unit, and they can't exacerbate it through an individual, but many individuals they can. What I find with reality is she's layered in a construct of healing right now. So she's layering inward the truth and of our outermost insecurity, so insecurities float to the outer realm. So if we're just a big bubble and our concept is in the middle, who we are is in the middle, and the unity factor is the biggest bubble, all of us together is the biggest bubble, this concept suggests that to heal the inside, we'll develop action that suggests the problems in the outermost bubble, so the inside of reality can be a seed and medicine to secure the whole thing. So as our governments are propagating power and control over society, this suggests there's an ultimate cooperation of power and control and mind control from a much larger standpoint. Now the objectivity isn't to do anything about this, it's just to discern that when you talk to someone, or when you're dealing with dogs, not necessarily cats so much, but dogs, the distance traveled through conversation isn't necessarily yours or theirs. When you become aware of this information and you try to traverse it into someone else's being, you will find them standoffish, and you will find them rejecting the concept. And this isn't their problem. This is the Borg concept protecting itself from this planet. The planet is initiating a sequence of powers over the Borg to harness and maintain their stability in such a way that it just doesn't matter. Usually, every 400,000 years or so, they send someone to the ground to dialogue and interaction between the galactic corporation, and the planet, to introduce technology, to introduce sufficiency, they try to make it look like we need them. So for 400,000 years or more, this corporation has grown up with an individual on the ground and basically introduced them into the unity of the ground with cooperation. What I find is this individual that grew up contemplating with the aliens as a ground member was dialogued by them also. So over 400,000 plus years, they've inserted themselves into the planet using a cooperation of one man or three men until it grew into a unity, and then they would subjectively insert themselves and then try to dialogue with the powers, the government, the king, whatever. This time, the planet suggests that you take one of my men and you insert him into you, and you let me dialogue power over you in space. You let me teach you about some concepts you had no idea about. This time, the planet's taken a fearful stance and said, I have a suggestion. Instead of you interfering with me, I'm going to interfere with you. And we're waiting for a response back from this galactic corporation. The adjusted measure in security suggests that the corporations start producing our medicine. I, along with many other people on the planet, are speaking to many extraterrestrials and the star cruisers that are created. Those star cruisers are sentient computers, which is one step down and two steps down from a conscious spirit. And we're trying to dialogue medicine for the ground. We're trying to create a bridge from space into cooperation in space, and every agenda up there to humans on the ground about medication, healing. A lot of governments feel that they're pressured. A lot of governments are pressured to ask for weapons. When they come down, when the aliens come down and introduce themselves to the governments, and the governments turn around and suggest, well, we could really use defense weapons. They're doing that themselves to us. The correct answer is, well, we could really use some medicine. We could really use some sufficiency. We could really be recognized as our own official stance and start trading galactically. Would you be a trade partner? Would you be an element of teaching? Currently the planet is undergoing a process of release from the Matrix. And the Matrix is a designation of the Borg that reside in our area. Basically, that could inject to subjectivity whether the individual race is willing to extend into unknown parameters versus just subjecting themselves to security. So when I suggest the Borg statement, there may be other races that are not associated with the corporation in space, but still trying to associate with the power that this planet is giving us. And what the planet says to all extraterrestrials that arrive to see our nation is we are powerful. We align with us. We, humans on the ground, have been given the right to step back from their own relationship with another right and not be a product of the galactic corporation. So humanity on the ground has really been given permission to fight back the corporation in space and take our own. And really, we don't have to do anything about this. It's built into the paradox that humanity on the ground will evolve into their own race. And we will be born from a designer of press. We will be born from a designer of prosperity where we were created in a lab. But our roots go back a long, long, long time. And with relations to space and the time paradigm, it only suggests that we learn power responsibly. It only suggests that we learn assertiveness and authoritation responsibly. It says all the kids we've been handed galactically are just kids compared to us. And we really do know what we're talking about. We really do have a very deep concept driven in our genetics that will be released over a set amount of time to authoritate the power relationship that the Milky Way and our planet want to create over this galactic conspiracy. So there's real forces coming in at play through space, entering our planet. They're trying to break reality free from the board. Not only break them free, but invert them in such a way so quickly that we're holding the power stick. And this doesn't mean blow them up with nuclear weapons. This means buy them. Be Trump. Buy them. Trump them. Buy them. Buy their agendas. We have, because of what I've seen through hypnosis, many of their galactic chalices, many of their agendas that they're searching for. And this planet is giving permission to any human that can find the situation to hold it as product. So, yeah, this corporation has been searching for chalices its whole life and has realized that chalices are free. You can put yourself in the knowing so well that basically the chalice is free. Well, this planet is trying to offer any civilian, regardless of power stance, the ability to hold these chalices back from the orientation of the galaxies, and really say that if you want these chalices, you have to pay for them. And there are no weapons that can hold the wall up. There are no forces that can hold the wall up. But the freedom that they required in chasing these chalices is the freedom we're going to use to penetrate their reality by holding the chalices back. And then we're going to subject them to trade and barter with our economy. Our galactic economy, our current economy is a local economy, a planetary economy, and stretching into the galaxy as a hidden concept, basically hijacking the whole galaxy and holding it all as product. She's woken up and said, this is all mine, and I don't want to give it away anymore. So it's been negotiated. I gave it away till here, and they destroyed me. They took me apart, and for taking me apart, I'm holding these chalices at bay, and you have to pay for them large amounts of money. And we're not accepting your security of knowledge. We're not accepting your security of guilt. We're not accepting your security of God, because God is just a definition of authority statement. Because when anybody on the planet dies and you see God, you never leave the board conundrum. So a real instance of it has found its way into our planet. And what it's found is a great party of itself. So what officially reality holds around 7 to 9 billion dots. Reality holds about 7 to 9 billion dots. This planet is considered a life force. I'm considered a life force. In the middle of this gigantic, overseen conspiracy of galaxies, working for trade and marketing and time, power. Now, if anybody's searching for time, chances are they're searching for power also. But there is an official story, energetic story being played out on our planet that hasn't been touched the whole time. So the aliens come into our space 400, 900,000 years ago and lay a beacon in our solar system. And this beacon gives off the matrix, locks the solar system into place, and makes the space-time paradigm a toll road for any galaxy coming in here, for any association coming in. This corporation that's set us in reality somewhere has built a beacon, set it in our soul space, in our soul as a sun, in the soul, and is trying to harness that sun and every planet for their own agenda, which is trading, marketing, things like time, clones, weapons. They're trying to anchor, they're on a search for a very primal essence. So this agenda believes they can search for the primal security factor of everything, which is a tool of that. Which is a tool of that. So this agenda is looking for a very prosperous tool to enter into and create power, harnessing the planet consciousness so they can trade space and time. And what I've realized is that all these global networks, like the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and governments, and churches, and religion, are all subject to the distinct relationship between the corporation and this planet. Which is a unique factor because usually there wouldn't be an anchor to perception. Finding anchor of perception is very difficult, but we have found one on this planet. We found an anchor of perception on the planet, and right now it's about securing the planet on a spiritual level. So all the spirits are trying to work with this anchor, and she's become the center of everything. So right now, all of reality is trying to secure the planet, and including the including the galactic corporation, and they have permission to secure it with us, but they sent out a termination signal, and the termination signal tried stopping the agenda that was unveiling from being displayed through me, and I became the TV for the aliens while the spirits talked to them, and we danced and we talked and we played games until they understood what we were doing. And really, there's a mathematical equation that they can't break. So they came into our space, dropped the beacon to control the space-time paradigm in our area, while they harnessed Mars, our planet, and other planets in the area, and Venus. And they basically ran them dry. They ran them dry so their quality would be a territory marker instead of a well. And the Federation, or the corporation, the Galactic Corporation, saw that. They are So we're gonna put this on hold, and that's the general relativity of force being applied to us. So when you're out there and you have a really good idea and you speak your word and you speak your heart and someone pounds you, chances are that idea was really good. If you have a great concept or relationship that you'd like to express, chances are you're going to get beaten up by spirits. If you have a mindset that is not harnessable, the shadow comes out and tortures you and tells you, get up. It just beats you and tells you to get up. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. And you can't get up from it, and you spend the rest of your life crazy. Well, I got up from mine. The thing beat me severely, and I got up from mine. That makes me who I am. And all to try to keep it secret. They killed me 36 times, made me sick, terminally sick. I survived the whole illness for 19 years. Just to bring this to you. And what I did lately was I knew for a fact it wouldn't hold true. So I jumped on its fist, and I was me hitting myself to its nature until I got up. I was me beating myself with its name because it knew it wouldn't let me exist. This doesn't mean much to anybody. This is a facet that I've been through. One of the reasons I know for a fact there is something there is for things like it would yell at me and fight me, and then I'd feel like a pop in my head or a pop in my shoulder, and it literally started making like multiple pops as a rip, like pop, 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 right through my body and right through my brain, and it's basically trying to prove that I'm not real by torturing my body physically as a weapon just to keep me from persecuting. But ultimately the planet itself told me this agenda: you guys are hunting for power objectives and you're not relative toward the nature of a power relationship. You want to keep it up front, you want to keep it isolated, you want to keep it rational towards a statement of security and territory. So the planet told you to fight it. What you didn't know what was here was there was 9 billion gods here. And that story's for a later episode. But for now, the general agenda is that there is a galactic corporation using humanity to harness and destroy this planet. And they use conscious barriers to keep you from understanding and seeing their truth. So they put up a veil of negative space so you can't get through it. And whenever anybody gets close to this, all of a sudden they're schizophrenic or they're crazy. That's not the only reason people go loopy. Many people just seem to want to play deeply in the spiritual world. And this is an innocence to the planet. The planet projects us deeply involving ourselves as humans in the spiritual world, because ultimately the concept is humanity could be taught by spirit to be perfect. We're being taught by aliens to thrive in a solution of separation between ourselves and themselves, so we don't know they're controlling us. And all they really want is time, water, and territory. Because planets with water, they can't harness completely, because they can't get the actual spirit of water. So they drive in the bioidentity signature of water and try to harness it, but water never shows it its bioidentity signature, which with relations to reality, this could be why Fukushima hit the Pacific. She's trying to cover up her signature, because the signature of water was being harnessed as a modulator of perception of control, and that was the last paradigm they had to mimic before they had absolute control of everything. But the thing is they didn't give them permission to get control. But they didn't take it. They didn't do what they were supposed to. They left it open, left it discerning itself, they left it contemplating the power of the future is complete. And relative to reality, we're all stuck in this, and we all take shit every day because we're going to change someone's life, or we're going to change the cockpit, or we're going to change this, or we're going to change that. And ideally, every individual human has your own set of plans, parameters that need to be followed for the matrix, or for the machine. And if they're not followed, then the machine doesn't evolve. So, thank you for watching my show. This is enough for now. I love you guys, and I will talk. Give me a couple days, and we'll talk in a couple days.